Welcome back to Rocket Roundup. Toledo will add women's rowing as its newest varsity sport in the upcoming calendar year, but they've already introduced the first head coach of the program, Bailey-Greene, who joins me today to chat more. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
So building a program up from the ground is quite the challenge. What made you want to take that on?
Well, coming back to Ohio was probably the first motivator. My entire family, being Irish Catholic, still all lives here. Starting from scratch, there's so many options and things that you have to do that you haven't really focused on doing in the past. You get to a certain level in your career, and all of a sudden it's like I focus on a lot of other things versus just building up the little details. So I've had to really kind of delve back into the beginnings of my career and focus a little bit more on the details of everything and building it up. So.
You were officially announced as the head coach back in November of 2024. So since then, kind of what have those preliminary steps been to build it up?
Getting a coaching staff in place, right? It has to be more than just me. Some more hands working and more eyes on kind of like what the vision needs to be. I would say working with administration, we're blessed. Nicole Alderson, our sports administrator, associate athletic director, she has rowing experience. She rowed in college at the University of Louisville. So it's really nice to not only talk logistics and finance, but also talk shop with her. And it's just been coaching staff, it's equipment. Each boat, for example, probably costs $40,000 to $50,000 a piece. I mean, it's getting indoor rowing machines, it's establishing space, it's getting gear. You know, what colors are we going to wear at regattas? And then not to mention recruiting of athletes. You know, whether it's walk-on athletes, whether it's experienced athletes in the area, the local Toledo area has numerous opportunities for high school rowers across what is not only scholastic but club. Down at the LeBoudier Boathouse, there's multiple teams in that space.
Definitely an asset to have those local high schools, but you mentioned that vision. What exactly is your pitch of a culture and a vision to the athletes that you want to have in your program?
It has to be holistic, right? They're student athletes, not athlete students, right? You need to do well in school. The whole goal, I always tell recruits, you're not going to row forever. You're not going to be a professional rower. Maybe you will, hopefully, fingers crossed, right down the road, maybe at the Olympics, but at the end of the day, we're here to teach you life skill. We're here to make sure that you're learning discipline, hard work, internal motivation, life balance, and forming a pod, right? Forming friends that will be lifelong friends forever. And kind of like mentally and physically challenging yourself.
Rowing alone is also an extremely challenging sport, and Toledo will join the MAC, officially launching it as a varsity sport. What can you expect of the competition in conference?
I respect every single competitor I race against. I don't talk too much with the team about competition necessarily. I think we focus so much inside. We call it the gunnels of the boat. So you focus on your race plan, of course, but you have multiple teams coming from multiple different conferences, some rowing as affiliates, some being new members. University of Massachusetts now is in our conference. Eastern Michigan has always been in the MAC. We'll be competing against them along with ourselves, High Point University, Delaware, and Temple. So you have a lot of East Coast teams, some Midwest sprinkled in there. We've been around the MAC for a very long time. We've won the Cartwright Award 3 times in a row, you know, balancing community service, community engagement, which we will continue to do on the rowing team with, you know, athletic excellence and academic kind of prowess. And if you can be holistic and win awards in the MAC, you know, as a university and as an athletic department, we want to try to continue that trend.
You know, to be able to take on a challenge like this, you have to have learned lessons along the way. And before coming to Toledo, you had stops in Washington State, Oregon State, Yale. It's been across the board. What do you feel like are some of those greatest lessons you've learned that, you know, made you ready for this challenge?
I think just being confident in yourself, but knowing full well you're a human being. You make mistakes. You can kind of doubt your career sometimes. There's going to be practices you have that aren't exactly amazing, and you're like, I should probably do something else with my life. And then you roll back around the next day and say, you know what, I am resilient. I'm teaching resiliency. Why can't I be resilient as a coach? You know, I'm teaching hard work. I'm teaching internal motivation. Why can't I be that way sometimes? So I think I've always tried to be as genuine, as honest, and as transparent as possible. I've been around coaches who are very much that way. So I've taken a lot of those core values, and especially with my background in clinical psychology, I think that does help a little bit. Athletes I always talk to and coach, they always think I'm like psychoanalyzing them in some capacity. I am not. I'm very much not. But I want to make sure that they feel like they are impactful, because everyone on our roster will be.
And then what would you just want to tell Rocket fans about how they can get excited to support women's rowing starting next year?
We're in downtown. I mean, we're at the LeBoudier Boathouse. We're right in International Park, which is growing through the metro parks of Toledo, which have been amazing to work with so far. Right across the Cherry Street Bridge, which is also having its own renovation right now as well. But coming down, supporting us, we're going to try to fly the flag proud down there, kind of spruce up the boathouse a little bit, and ultimately make it a destination spot for rowing in Ohio.
Well, we can't wait to see what you do with the program. Thanks so much for coming in and chatting with me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.